I can relate an amusing anecdote about Lakshmi, the ashram cow. One evening, when arrived at the ashram late and the Maharshi and the devotees had already taken their place in the hall, Jeanne, who was walking briskly ahead of Suzanne and myself, felt herself being firmly pushed out of the way from behind. She turned around indignantly to find herself face to face with Lakshmi, who was also in a hurry to reach the Maharshi. Her shed was quite a distance away, but frequently she would come all the way to see him. She would go up the steps to the hall, tread carefully on the Kudapa tiles worn smooth and slippery by the feet of the devotees, come up to the couch where the Maharshi was sitting, and lower her head to receive his caress or place her head at his feet. Then she would turn and with dignity, like an elderly devotee, make her way out. In the hall, I would observe what was going on. Many sat with their eyes closed in meditation, but I did not meditate since I did not know how. Being just a young girl, these were between the years of 12 and 15, mostly I would just concentrate my thoughts on making my mind a fit vessel for the Maharshi's power and grace, but I never felt left out. I knew that the Maharshi was there for me as well at my own level. Not everybody who meditated knew how to do it properly. One devotee was afflicted with a nervous tic on the left side of his face while meditating. Another bent over backwards more and more as he went into trance. The meditating was quite amusing at times, and the Maharshi would advise them and help them to correct their faults. Nor, as I learned, did meditation always give the right results. Once a devotee returned from his village, excited by the news that a man there who had been practicing for years had acquired supernatural powers and found that now he had only to raise his arm to project a beam of light. The Maharshi commented what a waste of time his years of meditation had been if that was all that he had achieved. Sometimes devotees in the hall sang some sacred verses or recited a passage from the scriptures. If they made a mistake, the Maharshi would gently correct them. He had a remarkable knowledge of the scriptures, both as to content and meaning, owing to the many passages he had been asked to translate or explain by attendants or devotees. The Maharshi had picked up a number of languages in the same way and could compose verse in the appropriate meter in Tamil, Telugu, Sanskrit, and Malayalam. The years he had spent in silence and samadhi had not impaired his intellect in any way. In fact, they seemed to have enhanced it. And it was in 1943, to the best of my recollection, that a young European woman came to visit the ashram. Since I was spending Christmas in Tiruvannamalai that year, my mother invited some of the ashramites, including this young woman, home for a meal. While she was with us, noticed a strange look in her eyes. Nothing in her behavior, however, gave us any indication of what was to follow. When she got back to her small cottage near the ashram, she found that all her belongings had been stolen. Theft in those parts was not infrequent, since the surrounding population was very poor. The shock she got when she found all her things had gone seriously disturbed the balance of her mind. We heard the next day that she had been found lying naked and unconscious in the ditch that ran along the temple wall. She was taken to the hospital in Vellore for treatment. I saw her again at the ashram a year or two later, and she looked a different person. I think that the Maharshi's instruction on how to abide in the still center of oneself, away from the turmoil of thought and emotion, must have helped her as it did many others.